Please silence or turn off your cell phones. The service will begin momentarily.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. My name's Donna Broglie. I'm Stephen Broglie's mother. Stephen was born to James Broglie and myself, Donna Rush Broglie, on September 17th of 1990 in Newport News, Virginia. He departed this life at Mercy Hospital in Springfield, Missouri, on March 31st, 2026. He was 35 years, 6 months, and 14 days old. As a child, Stephen traveled with his family, living in various states. At a young age, David and Irene Wendell they took Stephen and myself in from that point on. And Stephen looked to David as his dad. In 2025, the family settled in Mansfield, and we began to farm together. For the past 9 years, Stephen has been a dedicated employee of Randy Tire Shop in Mansfield, where many in the community got to know Stephen personally and came to love him. He was known affectionately by his family as Do. Stephen earned his nickname through his selfless nature and his habit of doing anything for anyone. He was absolutely loved and adored by everyone who got the chance to meet him. To know him was to love him. Do was the living example of treat others as how you wish to be treated. Even though he was quieter, he would strike up a conversation with absolutely anyone, always offering a kind word, a helping hand, and still giving all the glory to God. He left you with a special feeling of restored hope in humanity, knowing that there was such a genuine soul out there, someone who gave and wanted nothing in return. He never forgot anyone's name. He always remembered the little details. He truly cared about every person who crossed his path. He put 100% into everything he ever did. He would give every last ounce of himself until he literally, physically could not do anymore. He was the definition of a man after the Lord's heart. In his spare time, Stephen enjoyed farming, hunting, and fishing. He enjoyed sitting around the stove at the tire shop, listening to stories and tall tales, sharing the occasional joke, and solving the world's problems one friendly conversation at a time. He is survived by myself, his mom of Mansfield, his dad David Wendell, and wife Irene of Mansfield, his birth father James Broglie of Washington, and his 7 siblings, Robert Tigelaar of Mansfield, Cody Tigelaar and wife Candace of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Chris Broglie of Virginia, Mandy Satterfield and husband Stephen of Mansfield, Heather O'Brien and husband Justice of Kansas City, Rachel Bristol and husband Dominic of Mansfield, and Rebecca Wendell of St. Louis. His nieces and nephews, Aiden, Mackenzie, Kaylee, Skylar, Oliver, Asher, Ella, Chase, Everly, and Wesley, and a host of other relatives and friends. Du's presence will be greatly missed by the entire community as we mourn the loss of a beloved son, brother, uncle, friend. We also celebrate that he is at the feet of God. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. From Matthew 25:21. As we gather to celebrate his life, I want to thank you all for sharing Stephen, my due, with me.
What I'm about to read here is just a few of my memories that I have with Stephen. He was such a great guy, and we had so much fun together at the shop. I first met Stephen while working for my father at the tire shop. He would work for Dad occasionally on the farm, and I believe he may have worked for me a time or two. When my father retired and turned the business over to me, I needed to hire someone full-time, so I went to ask Stephen if he would work for me at the shop. His reply to me was that he would, but he had promised other people almost a year's worth of work before he could. He was going to keep his word to them before going to work for me. Almost a year later, he came to the shop, said that he had finished what he had promised and was ready to come to work for me. I was very impressed with him keeping his word to me and the other people. Knowing what I know now, that wouldn't have surprised me. One night, after he went to work for me, I was at home after he'd worked for me for a while. He called me to inform me that he had inadvertently ended up with $6 in his shirt pocket that was to go in the register. It was 8:30 or 9, but he wanted to know if I wanted him to bring it to me. He was way more worried about the $6 than I ever would have been. But that's just the way he was. He's probably the most honest and loyal person I've ever known. He was also a very big part of my brother's life as well, and my father's. Stephen had always talked about buying a 30-06 rifle of some type. So one day, someone brought one into the shop they wanted to sell. Stephen bought it and was very, very proud of his purchase. About the same time, my brother was diagnosed with cancer, so my daughter and a friend of my brother's planned a benefit auction and fish fry as a fundraiser. There was a lot of donations to the auction. There was a lot of donations to auction off. But the one thing that was hard to forget was that Stephen donated his 30-06 that he had purchased. And the auctioneer knew the story and told his story about Stephen giving up his gun for my brother's benefit. Bidding went crazy, and it brought 4 or 5 times what the gun should have, along with a lot of tears that people shed over the story. That's just the way Stephen was. Stephen was a very big part of my life as well as whole family. My wife finished her cancer treatment. He ordered a very nice case knife with her name and a pink ribbon on it for her with no one knowing about it, and presented it to me to give to her. He didn't want the glory, but he gave it to me to give to her. Well, we did a lot of hard work on a daily basis. We really had a lot of fun also. He touched the lives of so many people and made so many friends. Everybody always commented to me how good a guy he was and how good of a worker he was. He truly was a very great guy, a dear friend. I will never, ever forget his influence he had on me. Thank you all for coming.
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and this is Rachel. We're Stephen's sisters. I'm going to be reading on behalf of both of us. If you take a moment and close your eyes and think of our brother, I'm sure we're all picturing a face painted in freckles, a grin as wide as the sky, and a heart bigger than the universe to go with it. However, when we close our eyes, we are children again, the driveway is still covered in mulch, the animal feed shed is painted red, falling apart, and the cabinet in the living room is filled with our VHS tapes. And our brother is still here. When we open our eyes, we are hit by the reality that we will now grieve our brother longer than we ever knew him. As the youngest sibling, he will not be here to threaten to shoot my boyfriend when he wants to propose. He will not watch me get married, and he will not witness me create a family of my own. We will not ever have the chance to visit his big cattle farm that he spoke of, and we will not witness him fall in love, and we do not get one last fishing trip with him. Our brother only lived on this earth for 35 years, and we had the privilege of loving him for 22. Our memories will always live in those early years, learning how to cook a s'more around a campfire, stealing his ball cap and him chasing us around the yard, or dialing fake calls and listening to the ringtones on his old flip phones every time he got a new one. Our brother was a very strong Christian, and we know he will find peace in heaven. He was such a hard worker nonstop, and now it's finally his time to rest. For anyone here who may struggle with faith and the concepts of life or heaven or what happens after death, or when you just can't get peace to reach your heart, remember that even scientifically, in the words of Albert Einstein, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. He is with us in a new kind of way, and we cannot wait to be reunited again. Thank you.
Family, friends, extended family, thank you for coming this evening as we gather to celebrate Stephen's life. It's no doubt he was something special and unique to each one of you. He had that huge heart that always cared about what you had to say. He didn't just make you feel heard and special. You, yes, every one of you here and many more, were special and unique to him. You mattered. Perhaps you're listening live or on a recording, but you mattered. Stephen lived big. He loved big. Everything said in confidence was kept that way. He was a man of his word, honorable and truly remarkable. As good as he was remembering names, I sadly am the opposite, so please forgive me in advance. Stephen would come home beaming from ear to ear, excited to show and share all of the baked goodies, treasures he'd be blessed with, carrot cakes, his favorite, jams, jellies, hot peppers, various little treats, and fish. Oh, he loved fish fries. There were clover leaves pressed with heartfelt notes from sweet ladies, and deer burgers. He talked about deer burgers that Jerry would make. There were stews and chilies. I know I'm forgetting so much. Please note, every kind word, gesture, and deed was received with much gratitude. Stephen's first love was God, then family and extended family. At this moment, I would like to recognize some of those special extended family members. Firstly, there's someone here, a Green Beret named Kenneth. How he admired you. He was so deeply grateful for your service to this country. Thank you for your shared friendship with Stephen. There was John Doan. How he loved and respected him and was grateful for his service. There were all the men he cut and baled hay for, Roy Brown, John House, Mr. Birdsell, the Curry family, to only mention a few. I know I'm forgetting names. He respected and cared for each of you. Thank you for the role you played in his life. The Klaus family, he loved each of you, including your parents. You all touched his life and his heart. Thank you. The Adamson family clan, Stephen's extended family. Time won't let me mention you all by name, but no, he had your six. He considered every one of you as his family, which by default now means you're part of our family as well. Mr. Jerry, oh, how Stephen admired you. A grandpa, a friend, what a special bond. Every last moment spent with you was a highlight in his life. He treasured hunting with you. He always said it was never about bagging game, but the bonding of two hearts. Every moment forever treasured. Thank you. Randy, a father figure, a best friend, a boss. You hardly saw one without the other. There was nothing he wouldn't do for you and yours. He adored and spoke fondly of your mom, your wife. 100% respect for you always, whether in the shop, fishing, gigging, storytelling, or working cows. Forever treasured moments. I would also like to give a special mention to Rick. to Brian, to Mandy, to Travis, Dawson, CJ, Chance. Those are all names often heard around our table. And if I forgot one of you, again, I'm bad with names, but he never was. I would like to stop here for a moment and ask you to join me in prayer. Prayer for Jerry, Randy, and family, for his co-worker, his friend Stephen, with his wife and precious daughter, for Matt, for Jack, and anyone else who may have had to witness this great tragedy. Almighty Father, merciful, loving Father, thank you for your grace. Thank you for your love. And Father, right now, I just ask that you would wipe away any memory that the enemy would have to cause fear, to cause torment, to cause reject, blame, because none of that is truth. Father, I ask that you would just bless each one of them. Thank you for who each one of them was to Stephen. And thank you for surrounding their hearts with your peace that passes our human understanding. We just thank you in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Dustin Odom and family, another father figure and friend, a major part of Stephen's life as well. How he admired you. Thank you for all the time spent with Stephen, your faith, your family, your friendship. He looked up to you. Thank you for all the repairs, but more than that, the love truly treasured. Thank you to Drew, to Clay, to Mike Opeka, Ken Stein, all the Hughes family, the Leathers, special friend Laurel, the Campbell family, and again, I know I'm forgetting names, but you all meant so much to him. You were a large part of shaping the man Stephen became. Thank you for your friendship, and may God bless you all richly. Thank you to Town and Country, the police, the fire, the local banks, and also thank you to Colleen and Dwayne for the special bond you shared. The little bears here in front were a gift from Colleen with Stephen's uniforms made into little bears. Thank you. You left an everlasting imprint on Stephen's heart. You know what's amazing? Every one of us here or listening in have been in some way touched by Stephen's life. Why is that? What was so special about Stephen? His pure, honest, genuine love. His highest love was the Lord. Stephen never believed in Bible thumping. He believed one should walk the walk as talk is cheap. So that's what he did. What drew you to Stephen was his quiet, yet very loud love for God. Total gratitude for undeserved grace, for salvation. Do you know he prayed for you all? He believed he'd meet you all in eternity. His life being cut short is a warning to each one of us. We don't know the day or the hour we will be called home. If you feel that tug today, that conviction, today is a perfect day for complete surrender to God. Jesus is waiting. Don't delay. That free gift Stephen accepted in faith is available to every one of you. Please feel free to reach out privately to any of us, to the pastors here. Stephen was set free. The belief we have as believers is that to be absent from the body is to be present with Christ. Psalm 49:15 says, God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. I know I have forgotten names, but you know who you are, whether a customer, a friend, family, extended family, neighbors. Thank you for sharing Stephen's life with us. A special thanks to each one in the community and surrounding communities who took the time to stop by with gifts, food, financial support, love, and prayers. You've truly helped keep our family afloat. Thank you also for YouTube subscribers from all around the world who have reached out. In closing, I wish to thank my best friend, Donna. Stephen's mother, for sharing Stephen with me. A very special thanks to my husband, David Wendell, whose godly example truly shaped Stephen's life. He loved and admired all of you, all that you are as his pastor, his friend, but foremost his dad. I love you forever. Thank you to all of his siblings and their spouses for loving him with a love thicker than blood. May God bless you all. Thank you.
She didn't leave me anything to say. I want to start this with a great thank you to Dustin Cartwright, to Hayden Dennis for opening fellowship for us, and to Clay Smith, who has really handled this whole thing. Thank you, brother, and for putting this together. I also want to thank my daughter, Ray. She burned her arm out writing all of our notes. So I want to open with the scripture, but before I do, I want to say something that we've had a lot of people come up to us today, and it's wonderful to see each of you, and many people are grieving. But you see right here, it says this is a celebration of life. It's wonderful to grieve, but it's also wonderful to laugh and smile and have a good time. I'm going to say a few things that may make you do that. So if I do, please bear with me and laugh if you want to. It's fine. That's what Stephen was about. For those of you who really knew him, he was a real joker. He loved to laugh and to do things that would cause him to really be the center of the party. I'm going to start by reading John 3:16 and 17. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whomsoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into this world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. I guess because of all the things my wife said, I'm going to have to go in a little bit different direction here than what I had planned. So if it's all right with you, I want to show you how Stephen became who he was. It started, as Donna said, back in actually June of 1970. I had a secretary from the church I was with at that point come up and tell me, there's a little girl that needs some ministry. She has a 2.5-year-old son, and she's 7 months pregnant. So I'd be happy to. And started carrying Donna around to different places, trying to help her out wherever we could, help her with her son. And then on September the 17th, Donna said, Pastor, I think that we are going to have to go to the hospital today. And we took her in, had the baby. I was in the waiting room with Chris, which is her other son. And as I was there, Chris had bought a bologna sandwich. Donna reminded me that she ended up eating that bologna sandwich. But Chris and I were having a good time. I guess he was a 2-year-old, and he just enjoyed life too, and he was laughing and dancing. And I was one of the first ones to find out that Stephen was born. So from that point, we had many times with Donna. We were able to minister to her, to continue to carry her around, to go to doctor's offices and appointments and grocery shopping, build fences, and all sorts of things to help her out a wee bit. And about 2.5 years, I would say, we were together until we got a call from a pastor in Tennessee who asked me to go out there and help him with his church. As I went out, that night, we had spent many, many nights having dinner together with Donna and her family, helping to raise the children, and just having Bible studies and prayer time, all those things that we did. And I went up to Donna that night, and I said, Donna, I'm sorry, I have something horrible to tell you. I said, I've been called to Tennessee, and we're going to have to leave in the next week or two. Donna said, okay. And the next day, we went back there for dinner again. And when I walked in the door, Donna said, Pastor, I have something to tell you. I'm sorry, but God told me I'm going with you. So from that point on, Donna, Stephen, and Chris became part of our family. We moved to Tennessee. In Tennessee, we had some great times. I worked in a pet store there as well as help with the church. Stephen loved, y'all don't mind, I'm probably going to call him Dude quite a bit, so you'll understand who I'm talking about, right? Stephen loved playing with the iguanas and messing with the mice. We even had to bring some mice home to mate, to breed them a little bit, and that was a mistake. I made another mistake in Tennessee. He was about 3.5 years old, and I was working in bushcraft at that point. Some of you may know me from Bushcraft on Fire, and I took Stephen with me out to the woods. We had another good friend of ours, Larry Henry, was with us, and Stephen sat on my lap, and he got to shoot his very first 30-30 shot, sitting on my lap. That was another mistake. So many, many years we spent together in the woods, just learning. We moved to Alabama and did a lot of bushcraft stuff there. And then we came here at the end of 2005. At the beginning of 2006, we met a lovely man named John Doan. If you all know John, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. And we bought our property from John. And John found this young man with me, and he kind of took him under his wing. John really took Stephen everywhere. He almost had him signed up for the service, I believe, at one time. And so John was very instrumental in our early lives here. We built our own home. Stephen, Rob, and all of our children helped build the home. And Stephen wanted to be a builder. He did a great job. One time he said to me, Dad, we have more screws and nails here than we have wood, after we had finished building it. So we went through those times, and we built, and at the same time, he was only 15 when he moved here, but John started to point him toward other people. I don't want to name people because I will forget somebody. But for about 4 or 5 years, 6 years, Stephen worked odd jobs, maybe for many of you. He took a great interest in farming. He decided that he was going to become a farmer. His goal was to have 500 to 1,000 acres. And I looked at him one night on the porch not very long ago. I said, son, you know, that's going to cost you like $2 or $3 million. He said, I'll have it, Dad. That's the kind of man he was, a man of faith, a man that loved the Lord with all of his heart. And pretty much it's been wrapped up from that time to here. He met Randy, started working with Randy, and many of you have fallen in love with him, and he with you. But I just want to spend 1 or 2 more minutes to explain where Stephen got what he was. Because that doesn't come on everybody. Not everybody in this world is like Stephen was. We were in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, right before we moved here. We had a youth group, and Stephen, he was a little guy. He was never real big, but the youth group there was mostly high schoolers, right? High schoolers and many girls, some boys. They all loved Stephen. I mean, they were like towering over him, but they just loved him. He was a clown. He did so many things that just lit up everybody's life where he was. And he came to me one day after we were preaching about salvation, and he said, "Dad, how can I be saved?" I want to share with you what I told him at that point. Most of you here are probably believers, Christians. There may be some that aren't, so please listen carefully. I explained to Stephen that we were all sinners. Every single one of us, myself, Stephen, everyone was a sinner. I looked at him and said, "Stephen, do you know you're a sinner?" He rolled his eyes at me and said, "You know I do, Dad." And I said, "Well, son, the problem is that the wages for those sin is death. But that's not the end of the story. Instead of being eternally separated from God, we have an opportunity through the Lord Jesus Christ, who came and died for us, who was buried and resurrected on the third day. And because of him, all you have to do, son, is to turn your heart to him. You can't do it by good works. You can't do it by coming to church. You can't do it by what you give. Stephen's heart didn't give because he was trying to be saved. Stephen's heart gave what he gave to each of you because he was saved, because he loved Jesus Christ with all of his heart. So I invite you today, if you lay down tonight and you don't know what we're talking about, you're welcome, as my wife said so beautifully, to put your faith in Jesus. Guarantee that you will have eternal security with the Father and that you'll be in heaven with Him. One other funny story I want to close out with. My son was a joker, and I have a son-in-law here named what's your name? Dominic. And Dominic is a joker also. Not as bad as Stu, but he's a joker. And so they got into these spats. And one of the spats was about hot food. They always tried to outdo each other with who could eat the hottest stuff. Stu said, "Okay, we'll have a challenge." And Dominic said, "Okay, I'll buy that one chip." You all know what I'm talking about, the hottest chip thing? You ever heard of that? And so I think it was called the one chip challenge, right? And it finally came, and Stephen's standing at the end of the table, and Dominic's standing next to him. It was like a show for us. We're all sitting around the table. We're just going to watch this fun go on. And so they broke the chip in half. Stephen took one half. Dominic took the other half. And I'm going to embarrass my son a little bit right now. They both ate the chip at the exact same moment. Dominic immediately started sweating. Dominic's eyes got really red. Smoke started coming out of his ears. He got a half gallon of milk out of the refrigerator and chugged it right there. And Stu looked at him and said, "Was that hot for you?" And he went out and milked the cows and the goats, and he came back later to me, and we were sitting talking, and he said, "Dad, don't tell Dom. That chip was really hot." So that's Stephen. That's who he was. That's who he is and will ever be. I'm so proud of him. Our whole family is so proud of him. He would do anything for anybody. And I pray that each of you will think of him in your prayers from time to time and will be thankful for him as well. That's my boy, and I love him so much. Thank you.